Hello everyone, welcome to this video. My name is Aishwaryaadit Bahadur Singh. Now today in this video we'll discuss about few of the basic things about UNIX. So let's begin. These are the following contents we are gonna discuss in this video. The first will be knowing your machine, UNIX portability, UNIX trademark, and two major specifications that relate to UNIX, Berkeley and UNIX, Free Software Foundation and UNIX, and development of Linux kernel, and the last will be Windows system of UNIX. Now, moving on to our first topic, knowing our machine. Machine. From this word, there is a wide category of things that will strike our minds. Like a machine could be anything. Just say a bike, a stapler, or could be a computer, and so on. So, to be clear, we'll discuss here about computer machines on basis of the different operating systems. The computing devices can broadly divided into two categories on basis of operating systems, that is, multi-user systems or a single-user system. Systems having the DOS and Windows operating system are single-user system. As we can see in the icon just below this point, there is a user using his laptop, and such devices or operating systems, I should say, cannot be used by two or more users at the same time. So they are called single user system. Whereas systems having the Unix operating system are usually the multi-user system. And this can be understood by the icon drawn below. The root node at the top is supposed to be a single CPU through which three different terminals are connected. And by three different terminals, I mean that three different persons can work at the same CPU or the same operating system at the same time. Now, continuing on this topic, we'll discuss about Unix. Unix can be used by several users concurrently. In other words, I should say a single copy of the operating system installed on a single disk can serve the needs of 100 users. As you can see in the figure below, a single CPU can be operated by many of the users. Okay, if we have such a multi-user system, then this probability will be just sitting with a terminal, that is a monitor and a keyboard, as it is depicted clearly below in the image you can see. And the other thing, that is the CPU and whatever the processing units are present, that will be separated in a room with a restricted access. In this arrangement, we are expected to hook onto our account, perform our work, disconnect, and leave quietly. But in the DOS and Windows operating systems, things are quite different. However, when we are the sole user of the system, as you can see below in the image, the user using a system is the sole user at, and no one else can use his system other than him at the same time. This could happen if we work on a desktop machine that has its own CPU yani central processing unit, RAM, hard disk, floppy, CD drives, printer, and many things. If you own a machine, then you are directly responsible for its startup, shutdown, and maintenance. Not unlike the Unix terminals where we are only just we have to hook onto our account, do our work, sign out, and leave quietly. Here it is not like that. If we lose a file, here it's our job to get it from a backup. If things don't work properly here, we have to try all possible means to set them right before you decide to call a maintenance person. Move on to our next topic, that is keyboard. As we are on the same topic only, knowing a machine, the keyboard. What is a keyboard? A keyboard is basically an input device, as we all know. But before we start working on any of the operating system, we need to know the function of the keys on the keyboard. Functionality of the keys may vary in different operating systems. Like some of the keys may not be used in DOS and Windows, but the same key can be of great importance in the Unix operating system. And each alphabet, number, or symbol present in the keyboard is known as a character, which represents the smallest piece of information we can deal with. All these characters have a unique value assigned to them, called the ASCII value, which stands for American Standard Code for Information Interchange. Just for example, say capital A or the uppercase A has the ASCII value 65, while the exclamation mark has the value 21. So from this it is clear that no two different character can have the same ASCII value. Now let's learn about some important keys of the keyboard and their functions. The first we'll be discussing will be the enter key. This key is usually used to terminate the line and move cursor to the next line. It is labeled as enter return or just an arrow pointing towards down left side, as you can see in the figure given above. The second will be the backspace key. This key is present just above the enter key. We press this key to erase one or more characters we have entered using a feature known as backspacing. Control key. These are the present in a pair on each lower side of the keyboard. This key is never used singly but always in a combination with other keys. For example, we use Ctrl S to stop scrolling display, or in other terms, if you are a Windows user, you will be using Ctrl C at the same time to copy the selected thing on the screen. Moving on to our next key will be the escape key. This key is required when performing file editing with a text editor such as VI editor. This key often takes us to the previous menu in menu-based programs. Now, our next topic will be portability of Unix. Why is Unix the portable operating system? It is because Unix was rewritten in C programming language, which is a high-level language and not a assembly language. Assembly language are usually low-level languages. So the migration from assembly language to the higher level language C resulted in much more portable software requiring only a relatively small amount of machine-dependent code to be replaced when porting Unix to other computing platforms. For your clarity, I had drawn or tried to draw a diagram that is C programming language and the resulting is Unix. And then between you can see the process. We are writing the codes and various instruction in C which when processed resulted in Unix. Now moving on to our next topic, Unix trademark and two major specifications that relate to Unix. As each vendor modified and enhanced Unix to create its own version, the original Unix lost its identity as a separate product. The BSD releases were much different from the AT&T System 5 releases, and the incompatibilities steadily mounted. While standards were being developed as to what a product had to satisfy to be called a Unix, AT&T took it upon themselves to rework mainly the BSD product and ultimately unify their own system version 3.2, BSD, SunOS, and Xenix flavor into its last release, System 5 Release 4, SVR4. Shortly thereafter, AT&T sold its Unix business to Novell, who later turned over the Unix trademark to the standards body called XOpen, now merged with the Open Group. So, in today also the Unix trademark is owned by the Open Group, and POSIX and the single Unix specification are the two current standards in use. Now, moving on to our next topic, Berkeley and Unix. As the US government decree, which was subsequently revoked, prevented the AT&T from selling computer software. So they had no other option but to distribute the product to academic and research institutions at a nominal fee, but without any support. The University of California, Berkeley created a Unix of its own. They called it BSD Unix, Berkeley Software Distribution. These versions became quite popular worldwide, especially in universities and engineering circles. Later, University of California, Berkeley gave up all department work on Unix. Berkeley filled the gaps left behind by AT&T and they later decided to rewrite the whole operating system in the way they wanted. So, here are the few contributions Berkeley had made in the development of Unix. They created the standard editor of the Unix system, which is the VI editor. Other is a popular shell, which is popularly known as the C shell. Berkeley also created a better file system, a more versatile mail feature, and a better method of linking files using symbolic links. And finally, they also offered with their standard distribution a networking protocol software, which we call TCP/IP, that made the internet possible. But like AT&T, they also offered it practically free to many companies. Moving on to our next topic, Free Software Foundation and Unix and development of Linux kernel. The free software movement was started in 1983 by computer scientist Richard M. Stallman when he launched a project called GNU, which stands for GNU is not Unix, to provide a replacement for the Unix operating system. A replacement that would respect the freedoms of those using it. Then in 1985, Stallman started the Free Software Foundation, a non-profit with the mission of advocating and educating on behalf of computer users around the world. Therefore, the Free Software Foundation is responsible for the development of most of the application tools and the shell. And the Linux kernel was developed by Linus Torvalds, also known as the father of the Linux. And the logo of Linux is, as you can see here, is a penguin. Moving on to our next topic, that is windowing system of Unix. X Windows system is the windowing system of Unix. Now, what is X Windows system? X provides the basic framework for a graphical user interface environment, drawing and moving windows on the display device and interacting with a mouse and keyboard. It does not mandate the user interface. This is handled by individual program. As such, the visual styling of X-based environments varies greatly. Different programs may present radically different interfaces. X originated at a project Athena at Massachusetts Institute of Technology (MIT) in 1984. The X protocol has been at version 11, hence X11, since September 1987. The X.org Foundation leads the X project with the current reference implementation X.org server available as free and open source software under the MIT license and similar permissive license. In the figure given below, if you see it clearly, you can understand the windowing system architecture of Unix. So this is the end of our video. Thank you for watching. For any further queries, you can comment down your queries in the comment list, or else you can mail me or reach me on LinkedIn. Thank you.